As the final buzzer sounded on the Pistons' 2023 season, two die-hard fans, Mickey and Harry, each passed out and witnessed a vision. They were visited by Detroit's very own mascot, Hooper, the stallion ablaze, who told them the only way the Pistons would ever win a championship again was if these two men started a podcast. To be clear, they said, do we really have to do this? I mean, aren't there enough Pistons podcasts already? It seems like this might be overkill. But Hooper dunked on them, right in their face, and said, your team needs you. He presented them with a prophecy. Now it is their duty to help Detroit rise again and become champions. The Order of the Blazing Horse. Welcome back to another brand spanking new, or old, I don't know when you're listening to this, but right now it's new if you're watching live, episode of The Order of the Blazing Horse, the only Detroit Pistons podcast based on a mystical prophecy. I am one of the prophets chosen by Hooper himself, graced with the responsibility of uplifting the success of the Pistons, joined as always by my co-prof, my main man, my West Coast with the most host,
Mickey Jacobs. What's going on, Harry?
Oh, you know, just chilling, literally. Although today's one of the warmer days, 38 degrees, about to hit down to a -8 degree day pretty soon here. Take advantage of it, being outside, living it up. What's good in your world, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Just same old. Had a good bowling outing on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
Not to brag. Almost 199 average.
199.
It's not always like that. But you gotta enjoy it when it's good.
Sometimes you only bowl 287, right?
Yeah. That's still the number to beat. That's still. I'm not holding my breath too. But speaking of games, you were up close and personal at the Pistons Pacers game, were you not?
Oh yeah, I was up there. It was a surprise. So shout out to my boy Lumber. If you're familiar with historic baseball world, he's my guy from that, but also from way long ago. He's my longest lasting friend of all time. He's like, yo, come to the game with me. I got some like whatever seats. We'll just hang out. Me and my wife, my sister, and you can come with us. And I was like, killer. So I show up, sweatpants, snow boots, trash jacket. We get there. We go to this place and they're like, the security's like heavy. And then they start bringing us down. And I was like, please don't be like this. Please don't be like this the way I'm dressed right now. And sure enough, we're on the floor, courtside seats, third rows, so nuts. So shout out to Mike, shout out to Laura's wife. Like, thank you so much for that. It was a great time. Also, when you're in those seats, sometimes they give you like access to a ton of food. So they have like this club area and there's like all this free gourmet food. I've never felt more trash poor than when I was in there eating literally everything. I was like Tyrese in Too Fast, Too Furious. I was just like constantly eating everybody else's food, going through all the stations, knocking it all up.
Gotta get your fill, make it count.
Oh man, I was loaded up. It was a fun game. It was fun to be that close. It's just as a reminder to people, when you're watching the game, sometimes you see like Marcus Sasser and you're like, man, that guy's so small. I have Malik Beasley. He looks pretty small. Malik Beasley towered over me, and I'm over 6 feet tall, and he looked huge out there. Tobias Harris is huge out there. Ron Holland, Asar, huge. Duran is monstrous. Stu is monstrous. Cade looks like an oak tree. Those guys are enormous. TJ McConnell, shorter than me. He's a small guy. The ladies with us were like, he looks like he should be wearing a sweater vest out in the court. I thought that was very funny. My buddy, who's not like that into basketball, he was trying to describe him to his family. He's like, "Who's that guy? Professor McGonagall. What's his name?" So it was a fun time. The game itself was a rough one. One more thing I want to say. I did see Trajan and I saw Tim Hardaway Sr. Shout out Tim Hardaway Sr. You're a cool dude. Also taller than him. That blew my mind. So fun stuff there. Not that I'm trying to push this height agenda or anything, but I mean, Tim's an all-star.
For all the listeners and viewers who have never seen me in person, I am also over 6 foot tall.
Yeah, but easily.
Don't fact check.
He's a towerer. He's Ron height. That's why we give Mick the 00 on the hat. For the height.
Hmm.
I feel so stupid talking about the height, but like that really was the thing that like blew my mind the most. It's like how big everybody is. You kind of
Right.
forget that when you're not like talking to them on a regular basis and you just see it like on the TV. Pretty cool stuff. But Mickey, I was at the game. You were watching the game. Why don't we get into some of the thoughts on the game, man?
Let's. Yeah. Um, chippy game. Little Midwest rivalry going,
Oh yeah.
even without Ben, Math, and Ivy chirping at each other. Uh, so I saw Stu, John at Hallie, Miles Turner, Cade and Hallie were talking, and I've heard they were friends, are friends. You were there. What did you see? What did you hear?
It was intense, like very, also very chippy. Like the amount of, uh, I, I was, uh, I was seeing on defense the amount of like pushing and hacking and like bodying it up that's going on. There, it's way more than it looks like on TV. It's like full contact.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, like Detroit just wasn't able to get open. I think Indiana's defense was actually pretty phenomenal all game. They did a great job. They had a great plan for Cade. He was struggling. Like Nemhard played him really hard. Had some serious. The Pistons had some serious turnover issues. They weren't helping themselves either. A lot of passes through the hands. A lot of bad looks. Like, it's honestly crazy it was as close as it was, considering how poorly I think Detroit played and how out of steam Detroit played. Shout out to Tim Hardaway Jr. He had a great game. Came out the gates, knocking down 3 threes. I think finished over 20
It's
points.
been on
three.
one.
He's been feeling it. Got hit in the head again. We gotta get a Guardian camp on that, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna start wearing a helmet or some shit.
YouTube
By the way,
user
how
said
many
it.
games?
Sorry to cut you off here, but like
Go
Beef
ahead.
Stew was telling my sister, go play with some Legos, which is like such a funny diss to say to somebody. Go play with some Legos, man. It is some childish ass shit to get from Beef Stew, the monster of a man. So as you were,
No, yeah, how many games have started with like quick THJ3? I feel like he's just like that's almost our go-to move, and he's pretty consistent with it, especially to start.
I'd say so. Like that, it seems to be like a drawn up play for either him or Tobias to get like the catch and shoot three, which makes sense to me. Like one, get a Cade assist in there quick. Two, get your vets feeling good and like getting their shot on there. And three, remind the other team that like, yo, it's not just Cade you got to worry about. It's literally everybody you got to worry about.
Yes, and we've talked. I forget if it was on or off pod about how usually to win we need 1.5 to 2 out of 3 vets to show up, and we didn't have that last night.
No, we had one.
Yeah.
we had one show up. Shout out THJ once again. That was it was pretty good in his part. Tobias, his jump shot was coming up a little bit short, which is unfortunate. Also, he had some really uncharacteristic turnovers in that game. Like it was kind of
Three
wild.
and a quarter.
Yeah, and they were just like kind of dribble out of bounces that were going on. So
Yeah.
that's rough. YouTube user says Detroit started with poor energy. It's it's kind of interesting because this is one of the first games where a star was starting and the energy was like kind of rough getting there. I just don't think they were getting like the open looks they wanted, and then the sort of turnovers were causing them to try to play safe, which they didn't do. And then when they were forcing things, that was even worse because it just led to transition points and like baskets on the other end pretty quickly. And on top of that, how demoralizing is it when Miles Turner hits like his first 5 threes? He at least hit 3 in a row in the first quarter, left kind of wide open out on the perimeter. It's
That's what he does.
it is what he does. I told the people I was with straight up like Miles Turner's going to hit a whole bunch of threes, and that's why everybody in Detroit wants him to be a Piston. And Beef Stew's going to get a crazy swat that you guys are going to love to see. And those are for sure the two things that happened. So that was cool that it
That
happened.
you hit your little parlay.
My little parlay, as it were, not super happy about winning that one, but
Yeah.
Miles looked great, and they were just getting around. To me, the big difference in that game was that Indy was able to switch on D and stay in front of the Pistons players, and Detroit was not. They just simply weren't able to get it done. And also, like, Cade had a tough game. There's no getting around it. He did have 20 and 9 and 4, but he shot 30%, pretty bad from 3. 7 turnovers is nothing to be happy about. And I mean, he missed that dunk at the end. He looked a little bit tired from the paparazzi parade he'd been going on this whole week.
Press run's been taxing.
Hey, I get it. You're doing the junkets. It's hard, man. It's a lot of work. Being a funny guy, I do. We'll get into that after this. We talk about this game here. But did you feel that bad about this game?
I mean, I think it's just like we talked about how, like, for me, I keep, and it's not fair, but I keep moving the goalpost in my head. You know, at the beginning of the season, I was like, God, can you imagine if we won 30 games? Weeks later, can you imagine if we made the play-in?
Couldn't.
Now I'm like, 6 seed or bust.
Yeah, right.
Anything else is inexcusable. It's so, I acknowledge how unfair it is. I do think, like, probably other fans, like sickos like myself, can relate. But I do think it's important to remember that there's going to be games where, like, look, we still don't really have a backup point guard. I think Sasser's doing as good a job as he can do. We don't really have another person who can initiate offense. We play decent defense in spite of, you know, personnel that's not really like defense oriented. It's not really, you know, besides Asar and like
Stu.
Kind of Ron and Stu. Yeah, like Stu of course, but yeah, it's tough. And I think like there are going to be these games where you come back to earth where Tobias has a poor game and Beasley can't hit, because, like, you know, in a couple games he's gonna go like 6 of 8 from 3 again, and we're gonna be like, give this man a bag,
right?
Pay him all the money, and you know, it's what I'm trying to say is it's bound to happen, and I think it's important not to get too high or too low, no matter how difficult that is.
I want to talk about several of the things that you talk about. One, first about moving the goalposts. I think that happens for a couple reasons, or raising the basket, if you want to make it a basketball one.
Oh, I like that.
We keep raising the basket because when the Pistons were playing, they were playing on the little Tyco hoop, you know, that you give your kid
right
to start. You started slamming on. Then they moved up to the one you put over your trash can to throw like your paperwork in there. And now I think we're finally at the 10-foot. We're at the 10-foot rim finally. I think part of that is because of the exponential growth of this team and just the buy-in of this team. The cohesiveness from the whole organization has got this team playing like an actual team, and they're playing winning basketball. So it's really accelerating the progress and expectations forward. Two, I think there's a reality check of where other teams are. I addressed this like a little bit in previous podcasts about like the declining rate of stars, like the stars of yesteryear, and how their teams are doing. You look at a team like, you know, Philadelphia, and people are like, oh, they're going to catch up. Are they? Who's going to catch up first? Is Philadelphia going to catch up to the Pistons, or is Father Time going to catch up to Philadelphia? You know, because they're getting injured, right. They're getting old. They're still several games back. I think they're further back from the Pistons than Detroit is from the New York Knicks. So like, it is close, but the whole NBA is close. So it's. I get the pushing as far as like the goalposts go, but we're in the spot. The reality of the situation is the Pistons have a very good chance at the 6th seed as long as they continue to play how they've been playing, and they're one of the 3 hottest teams in the NBA, with Indiana maybe being the 4th, and maybe that's like flopped now coming in. So sure, expectations can be high, and to get to the next point that you brought up, they are going to lose some games. Of course they are. They were playing so hot. Did we expect them to win every game? No. Like, it's wild for them to have done. It's wild for them to have won as many games without Ivy as they have. Like, it's truly insane. And I am happy for how it's going, and they do need a lot of vets to go on. It's just unfortunate that Tobias and Malik both had like kind of rough nights. They just weren't able to get open. YouTube user, as you brought up, Durham was pretty good on offense. But he did account for a lot of those Turner 3. And the miscommunication was for real. Like, that's one thing, because for the first half, Indiana was like all in my face on offense. So I saw like the switch coverage, and it was bad. That was like, it was real lack of communication, poor decision making. How did he end up over there? I don't know what's going on between the players, but I wasn't hearing them yell at each other. Like, I'm going to be over here, you get him, or anything like that. So that's a struggle. And then when we're looking at part of the other things that were happening, I'm going to give a shout out to Mark Carey on Blue Sky. He wanted us to talk about Ron and his foul trouble and how Asar should be the primary ball handler. Or secondary ball handler to address we don't have a backup ball handler. I kind of think that they put the ball in Asar's hands a ton in this last game. While Cade was on the floor, no less. There were many times he was bringing it up. I do think he can handle it pretty well. I do think his decision-making is pretty good. It's a little bit tricky when it's not in transition, when it's just in the half court, because when he has the ball at the top of the key, they don't have to play him all that tight on the perimeter because he's not going to shoot the three. Like, it's just not going to happen. He did take a three. It didn't look that bad, but it didn't look like he wanted to take it either. So, like, of course, I think he can handle the ball. I think he's got a pretty good handle. His crossover was nasty that he pulled. And when you look at comparing him to Amen, like, everyone's showing the highlights of Amen, like, what a stud this guy is. Look at this handle. Look at what he can do. The highlights don't look all that much different. It's just, it's not that far off. I do think it is attainable. I just think Asar's handle has to be like a little bit better, but this is his first year on the team getting this sort of opportunity. So that's going to take some time, just like it's going to take Sasser some time. And I think Sasser's actually doing a pretty admirable job about it all. They just weren't getting much separation. So you want to talk about the Ron Holland foul situation, and I guess we can tie Sar into that because he's had a pretty bad whistle when it comes to fouls on defense as well.
Yeah, what was it for Ron? Like 5 fouls in 8 minutes or something like that?
5 fouls in 8 minutes.
And we're Ron guys, but that's tough.
It's rough. I do want to say at least 2 of those fouls I think were pretty bullshit calls. Like, he had one that they called a moving screen on. I'm looking straight at it, straight on the baseline, and he's like, that's a good play. That's just like a straight up good play. They also called a moving screen on Tobias where he didn't even touch the player like afterwards. So
that got overturned, right?
It did get overturned, but that takes a challenge. You still have to challenge it. Just like
right. They missed the call. Yeah.
Right. And you can see JB getting into the refs on a regular basis. You see the Pistons talking to the refs on a regular basis. I do think the Pistons have a bad whistle as a whole. And when you have guys like Ron and Asar, young guys on a team that is traditionally a bad whistle, who don't have a reputation but are defensively aggressive, they're going to get called for fouls. It's just a tough pill we're going to have to swallow. And it'll get better as time goes on, but right now it's good. They're going to be hot when that happens.
Yeah. To your point too about like older teams, I think the Pacers are a tough matchup. First of all, I think objectively they are more talented than we are. I think we, like, our chemistry, our vibes, and our effort level has been leading to overperforming in a way that's amazing. And when you look at the last time we beat the Pacers, we shot the lights out. And I think Hallie even said in the postseason, like, I don't expect to, like in a semi-respectful way, I think he was like, they're not going to shoot like that all the time. And I mean, we shot horrible.
This was the inverse, yeah.
It was the exact opposite. And the fact that it was even as close as it was is with as many turnovers as we had is actually weirdly encouraging. But yeah, they're wildly talented. They're fast. We match up well against older, aging teams.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers. You know, like, yes, they have a lot of talent, but we're going to outrun them. Pacers outran us, and they were really pesky defensively. I wish like an Asar or a Ron were more consistently picking up the other team's best player full court like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you run the risk of foul trouble, especially with those two guys, but I just really liked seeing Nembhard hustle. Really good little two-way guard. And I say little, and he's probably like 6'3", 6'4".
He's got to be something.
Which is like pretty much my height.
He's a great defensive player. There's no wait. I thought you were 6'8" or 6'9", somewhere in that range. But
I said pretty much my height.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
petite much.
Give or
take. A little bit shorter.
Yeah. Take. Yeah.
So real quick on the shooting stats for the Pistons last night: 39, not even 40% from the floor, 25 from 3, 19 turnovers, and they still were in it in the last minute and a half of that game. Like, it really took a dagger 3, a missed layup, and then another turnover by the Pistons in order for them to nail that game.
There were chances.
It's not crazy to think that even though the Pacers might be more talented. If the Pistons shoot even like average, they win that game. If they turn the ball over even average, they win that game. So I don't feel that bad about it. You're going to lose some games. You lose the worst game you've played in a while by not that much. No big deal. And as far as like a half court pickup, yes, please, Ron, Asar, Sasser. Those are the three guys I want to see doing that kind of all the time. And it's nice to see them do it. On the positive side, when we're talking about what this team does, they bounce back. They bounce back like crazy. And who they play well against? Old teams. Who are they playing on Saturday? The Phoenix Suns. Like,
yep,
that's a team in trouble. So hopefully,
I'm excited about that.
Okay. Yeah,
yeah. I wanna play well. I want to beat the Suns, and I want KD or Booker to look and be like, man, this is a fun team to play with. I wonder. Seems like things aren't going so well here. Maybe would be nice to play with a jumbo creator and a bunch of young athletic wings. But we'll see. We'll see. I think they're going to play well. Then it's the Rockets, which is going to be a little Thompson twins matchup. That'll be fun. And then we'll have a chance at redemption against the Pacers. And that's going to be crazy.
I mean, with how heated it was at the end of the game, like during the game, just how this loss went with JB and Duran talking after the game, Stu talking after the game, it's going to be intense and it's going to be chippy and Stu's going to get ejected from that game.
Yeah.
And
he cannot.
You're right. He absolutely cannot. Plus minus Asar and Duran, -22, -16, and Stu +5. So I think we only had 2 or 3. Tobias, oddly enough, was +4. Malik, also oddly enough, was a neutral. He had 0, even though he was struggling from the floor. You're right. If a YouTube user, if they don't leave turn wide open for 10 plus 3-point attempts, they might win that game. Absolutely true. Like you can't let them get hot like that. And at least the first 3 were like wide open miscommunication problems. Hopefully that gets resolved. It really is on like a couple guys to resolve that. And they know who they are. We don't got to say anything about that. You know what you got to be doing.
Could we cut a super cut of the Pistons leaving stretch bigs wide open at the top of the arc, like the Brook Lopez's of the world and the Miles Turners and the Nikola Vucevic? Yes, but we're not going to do that because that's negative Nancy stuff, and that's not what we're doing. But is the footage there? Yeah.
Listen, if you want to just like Schadenfreude some bad Pistons memories, go back and watch our buzzer beater losses montage. Like, I don't want to make one for the stretch threes burying us. I do know enough classical music to make it happen. I just don't want to keep using it all up. I don't.
Rights free, baby.
I don't want to put Vivaldi or
it's a big Wagner guy.
Yeah, no Wagner. That would be so bad. From Wagner from Deep. Oh my God, feels like a little anti-Semitic. If you're asking me,
I know it's the German. It's the German. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh my God, the anti-D-Day. I do expect this team to improve, and I think that's one thing this team has done like exceptionally well as the season progressed is they've learned. And so we talked about this before, but like as in the beginning of the season they were down by a lot and they'd come back and they'd still lose the game, and then they'd take the lead and they'd lose the game, and then they'd get a bigger lead and they'd come back and they'd win some of these games, and they'd lose a huge lead but they'd win the close games, then they'd get big leads and keep the big leads and win these games, and they've been on this win streak. Now this new streak I want to see the Pistons overcome. And this is one positive take I'll take out of it. This was arguably the biggest game of the season so far for the Pistons. Before that, the biggest game of the season was to get into the Emirates Cup against the Milwaukee Bucks. They got spanked in that game. In this game, they came out and they kind of played badly, but it was closer. I want this trend of experience, growth, learning, and improved execution to continue by the time they get to the playoffs when it actually matters. So if they keep having these games, like the next Pacers game they've got coming up, and like the Atlanta Hawks games, those are 2 tests that'll be important ones for this going forward. And you have a couple more opportunities this month to see how that's going to go. And if things go badly, then we'll know where they're at as far as like, do we need to get another scorer in order to handle the Ivy loss, or do we need the ball handler to like take some pressure off Cade, or is this team able to like weather that storm and get better and keep improving where we don't have to do all that much by trade deadline, and then come playoff time, there's such a well gelled unit that knows what to expect from one another that they can win the play-in game or a playoff series, or I mean, heaven forbid, a playoff series. It would be that would be incredible to have happen.
Yeah.
And we know no one expected them to be this way. We know the NBA had no plans for this to be the case. You have real insight on that.
I do. And speaking of which, I feel like every time I read an article about the Pistons, it always starts with the same three words. It's don't look now, but the Pistons are 500. Don't look now, but the Pistons have achieved their win total from the past season before the year ends. Don't look now, but Cade Cunningham's an all-star. Are these the don't look now Pistons?
I love that nickname. And I think that's what they should be called. The don't look now Pistons, because that's how fast they crept up on you. And the other part of it that I love before is they were the don't watch now Pistons, and now they're the don't look now Pistons.
Don't look away. Yeah.
Chat, let us know what you think of that nickname. I love it. The don't look now
Spread it
Pistons.
far and wide. The don't look now Pistons. I think they're turning heads. But the NBA is slow to realize this, and especially with a market like Detroit, and also with a team as infamous as Detroit. And I feel like Detroit's always kind of been like the Pistons have always been kind of a punk rock basketball team. We messed up Michael Jordan's rise. We ended the Lakers Celtics dynasty in the 80s and 90s. So exciting.
We're the party crasher, baby. Get it in there.
Best villains ever.
It's already starting to happen. Like they're having to take notice. Cade got on NBA Today for the interview. He was on that Bleacher Report video, which was hilarious. Shout out to Funny Marco. Shout out to Cade for being very funny in that, way funnier than I expected. Saying that he could play quarterback better than Dak Prescott in 2 to 3 months is hilarious.
He's dry.
Right?
He's got a dry wit.
So slick. Saying that he would choose Marco's number for him if he got drafted was hilarious. And then picking 67, the number that he was put on the top 100 players of the NBA list. Sick. The dude's good.
That was a little Easter egg. I didn't even notice that until you explained that to me. I love all the little bits.
Mm-hmm. So funny. And I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but when they're talking about his game against Minnesota and they were calling him a ball hog and then he got called for passing the ball, that's the same game that Ant was just talking about right before, about how he didn't like to pass. Now he was being double teamed and how he put up 53 and he still had one assist and a loss. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's a subtle dig or not, but great stuff. But this is the first time, and this is very unexpected. The NBA is they're still struggling to say whether Pistons are good, whether they should be someone to take advantage, or someone that is going to be a real threat to play. But people are getting hip.
They are, and I think that segues nicely into our next segment. So I was visited by Hooper again, and Hooper gave me something. Hooper leaked. You know how everyone talks about the NBA script and how the script writers outdid themselves this year?
Oh, yeah.
I happen to have a leaked copy of the 2024-2025 NBA script. Can you read this aloud for me real quick?
It says the 2024-2025 NBA season, written by Adam Silver, story by DraftKings and BetMGM. Oh my God.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I knew they were in cahoots.
That makes a lot of sense. So I've skimmed through this a little bit. Do you want to go through and just sort of take a look at some of these storylines and see what we think?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this off stream because you showed it to me and we were going over it.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of these tropes that Adam Silver had written into the script.
I will, and I'm gonna go ahead and put on my writer hat here, get out the old red pen, and see if we can make some tweaks, or maybe make some cuts, based on the Don't Look Now's Pistons recent success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. So, unsurprisingly, this is kind of actually what's happening in Hollywood as well. Is I'm seeing a lot of the same old tropes, same old ideas. There's a lot of like these
Remakes.
3-star super teams.
Oh my God.
You see Paul George going to Philly to team up with Embiid and Maxey. You've got the whole Durant, Beal, Booker contingent over there. I don't know.
Listen,
It just feels tired.
that made sense back in Miami, back in the day. We don't need to remake Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was a moment of the times. All right? We're not remaking Freaky Friday. You're not making the next Freaky Friday by remaking Freaky Friday. All right? So stop trying to do it. It's obviously not working. How are those teams doing?
Poorly.
I think they're both out of the playoffs right now, which is so funny.
It's not working. And to your point, it's so 2006. Like, we're ready for something new. Like, I think you can trust audiences to, yeah, whatever. All right, what else do we got here?
This one, yeah.
This is seen it all over Bleacher Report, all over House of Highlights. It's the LeBron playing with Bronny thing. The old father-son, I don't know. It just feels cheesy.
It does. It's like a Hallmark movie. Like
exactly.
It's bad, man. That should have been the Christmas game. I'm sure it was one of the Christmas games. That's why it makes sense. You watch, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But it's bad. You know what the better father-son story is in the NBA? Tim Hardaway Sr. at all of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s games right there, keeping the face the exact same.
Let's go.
He doesn't need to play to be there to support his boy. That's the better story in my mind.
Absolutely.
Because one of those kids is playing and one of those kids ain't playing.
Totally. And then another thing that comes up a bunch in here is there's a lot of Ant Edwards is like, I don't know, it feels like they're trying to like prop him up as like the leading man as far as like American NBA stars go, like the next guy up. And I don't know, you talked about how he's kind of a ball hog. I feel like in every presser, he's just kind of like shitting on his team.
Mm-hmm.
Is that leading man material?
I don't know, but it ain't the leading man I want.
No,
it's not. I want a leading. I want somebody who puts the lead in leading man. I want somebody who is selfless, someone who is ethical, someone who does it all, someone with a great sense of humor that's not just nasty. I've seen them both have sense of humor. I've seen Hustle, Ant's hilarious in Hustle, but like I said, that Bleacher Report with Freddie Marco, Cade was wittier. It was sillier. Yeah. It was funnier, and it was also more wholesome. So
he's funny. He passes the rock. I think they're one game behind Minnesota right now. So it's like, it's not like Ant's so good that he can just drag any team to the playoffs necessarily, especially in the West. So I don't know. Like it feels forced. I feel like he's kind of like the Timothy Chalamet. They're just shoving him down our throats, and it's nothing against Timothée. It's just like I get fatigued on it. It's just like the marketing of it all.
I want my lead actor to when he's like the lead, when he's the star of the film, no matter who else is in the film, they all seem like stars with him, and you're like, this is a great movie. He makes everyone else's performance better. While he still shines the brightest, he makes everybody else reflect his glow, and I love that. That's Cade Cunningham. That's the kind of
you want the whole ensemble to shine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one dude taking a million shots like Ant or LaMelo. And it's really good to see what Cade's doing actually lead to wins for a change. So, yeah, not particularly impressed with what I saw from Adam Silver and the gang over at DraftKings and BetMGM. But I will tell you, as far as writer's room etiquette goes, it's pretty bad form to shit on an idea if you don't have anything better to contribute. So, we're talking about Cade. We're talking about narratives. I think his story, his redemption story, is actually the most compelling narrative in the league right now. So, Joseph Campbell is this storyteller, and he's famous for the hero's journey. You see it in Star Wars, you see it in just about everything. Cade is following a similar trajectory. We've adjusted these. Some of these are a little out of order, but I think it works for the most part. Should we go through it?
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar, all heroes go through. I mean, you can make it in any story. Watch it, and if you're like watching a movie, you're like, this movie kind of sucks. It might be because it doesn't follow the hero's journey. It's just something you're comfortable with. Every Pixar movie is this way, where you're in your your home, what you're comfortable with, and then you get thrown into the unknown world, and you have to deal with struggles, and you meet a mentor, and you have to come out of that. So yeah, Mickey, let's get into it. What is our step one of the hero's journey with Cade Cunningham?
Step one's going to be, it's called the Call to Adventure. And for Cade, that's getting drafted number 1 overall.
Oh, yeah. We were introduced to Cade Cunningham. Half of Detroit Pistons fandom probably was not huge Oklahoma State fans, I imagine, didn't know, but he warmed our souls by putting on the buffs, being all about Detroit right from the get-go. Welcome to the city, Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, and this is an active protagonist. I remember hearing an interview with his brother Cannon, talking about how, like, hey, maybe it'd be cool to go to Houston. You're from Texas. Cade wanted the smoke. He wanted the pressure. He wanted that number 1 overall status. And I think it speaks to his character, and he's living up to it.
Oh yeah.
So kudos to him.
He really is.
That's the hero you want.
And like, sometimes when you come in, you're the number 1. People expect you to be great right out the gates. People expect you to be that guy. They're all the eyes in the world are on you. But in order to be the hero, you can't have it that easy right from jump, which takes us to step 2, the road of trials. And he's had plenty.
Boy, have there been trials.
There have been so many. I mean, losing the Rookie of the Year to Scotty Barnes. Who? Scotty Barnes with the Toronto
What's
Raptors.
Scotty doing now?
He's actually a pretty good player. I know people should have Scotty Barnes, but he's very good. He just ain't Cade. Then Cade had the shin injury that had been lingering since, I think he said, like middle school or high school or something. Teams in the bottom of the league, like essentially unwatchable. It's rough. Things are looking down. This is the first little bit of adversity he'd probably faced ever in his career. He'd always been that guy.
He missed an entire season, constant slander. People said that he was a bust, didn't deserve to be the pick, ranking him 67 or something. It's just it took a while. It wasn't like he just got to the league and was an immediate darling. So it's definitely been a road.
But as he was still growing from that, he comes back from the injury, and he's like, I'm the leader of this team. I'm going to put this team on my back. But it can still get worse. And that's where we get to the third phase.
Yeah, Dark Night of the Soul. That's where things get really bad. So, the Pistons are getting attention now, which isn't the first time they got attention. They were a story last year, but it was more infamy than fame.
Wait, were people talking about the 28-game losing streak last year, nonstop?
I don't remember. I blacked out.
Do they still talk about it? Literally every broadcast, no matter what? That it was so bad. Everybody cannot help but bring it up. They have to bring it up, and it sucks. Every time I hear it, I'm like, what is it going to take for them to not bring this up anymore? It's going to take, I think, 4 or 5 years for this to pass, and 4 or 5 years of success. But could you get any lower than this?
I don't think you really can. I guess they could have lost 29 games, but the thing about redemption and change is that it gets darkest before the dawn. And fortunately, this season has been a little peak of that sun poking out.
Mm-hmm. And so, just like a ray of sunshine reaching out to your cold soul, granting you some warmth, saying, let me lift you back into life. The Pistons made that happen by bringing in 2 mentors of their own with Trajan and JB.
Now, all my story nerds are going to be like, hey, isn't the meeting of the mentors supposed to be one of the first beats? Shut up.
Shut up.
We're taking some liberties.
You friggin' nerd.
We're moving it around.
Everything's by the book?
Look, you know what? And you could argue Dwayne Casey was a mentor. I think he was a good coach. I would have loved for Monty to be that guy. That did not turn out to be the case. But the culture that JB has instilled, and Trajan bringing in him, bringing in Fred Vinson, I think we can safely say this is the leadership that Cade needed to, in turn, become the leader that he is now. Quick aside, we were talking about the Pistons WWE belt. I think that is a JB thing, because I remember seeing in Cleveland, they had a big chain, like a big Cavaliers chain that went to a player after every game. I'm pretty sure the belt is Detroit's version of that. If anyone knows, please let us know if that was a thing beforehand. But
JB just taking his kids old Christmas presents. He's like, I get these toys out of the house.
Yeah,
this is shiny. For you guys. Yeah. I'll tell you what's not coming to locker room from JB. It's not going to be Legos next time. That's for sure. There's not going to be Legos for whatever his next regime is.
Certainly not. I love Lego shaming Miles Turner, by the way. That's really fun. So you get for being wholesome, motherfucker.
I hope somebody on the Pistons staff puts a Lego in the bottom of his shoe before next game. just slip one in there.
That's actually so painful for anyone who's ever stepped on a Lego piece. That's like pretty horrible thing to wish on someone, Harry. But I understand it.
No bueno. And actually, don't do it, because it'd be nice if you came to this team next year. I don't care about the bird rights.
Yeah, you know who says? You know who else thinks that is every team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Every team wants Miles Turner.
He looked really good. He looked really awesome. And I think these two mentors have looked really awesome. And I don't care, like you said, I don't care that it's out of order. I don't care that you read Save the Cat. Whatever. We're here.
We're making it work.
So what would come next, Mickey? Tell me the next step of the way.
Why don't you go ahead and remind
All right, bring it up.
All right. Yeah. So under the mentorship of Trajan and JB, Cade accepts his new role, and boy, has he accepted his new role. Career highs in points, assists, boards, stocks.
3-point
won
percentage.
More games. 3-point percentage. Won more games. Just really rose to the occasion. Put the team on his back. It'll be a crime if he's not an all-star this season.
I don't even think it's a possibility, if I'm being honest. I think that ship has sailed. I mean, from our discussions, I've been saying I think Cade's an all-star kind of from game 7 or something like that. I was very early on the hype train, and then all the broadcasters kept saying it. He's an all-star. He's an all-star. He's an all-star. I think this last week just cemented it. You sweep New York at Madison Square Garden, where you're the superior player over Jalen Brunson in both games. You have all these highlight moments. He's an all-star. It's all settled. That basket has been raised as well. And you can make your argument for all NBA if you want to. I would. I think it's very possible. They just got to keep on winning. I think that's pretty much it. He keeps these stats up. They keep on winning. He'll be there. And the role he's accepted as leader, as facilitator, as voice, as the mouthpiece of Trajan and JB to the rest of this team. We saw him talking to Stu when Stu was getting hot earlier this year, like a couple times, like, yo, stop John. We got to get back on defense and play this thing. He's always said that he's a leader. He has really stepped it up. And I think the main area where he super stepped it up is on defense. Like when you're bowling out on both ends of the court, like showing like this is how Detroit is going to play the game. We're going to play smart all over the perimeter and inside on offense, and then we're gonna SWAT you if you come our way. We're gonna stop you if you come our way. I'm doing things on offense and defense with all my energy, playing all these minutes. Awesome leadership out of Cade Cunningham. Way to accept that role, dude.
All right, I gotta go get my dog because she's not gonna stop. So she's gonna join us for the next couple beats of Cade Cunningham's hero's journey. Hold on one second.
My dog is also here. She's just asleep on the couch.
Time out. Let's get dogs in the mix.
Yeah,
it's time. It's time.
Chad, you feeling any kind of way about all this stuff? You feeling any kind of way about the hero's journey? Corbin, I see you in here. Did you have any feelings about that? You've read the books. You've done the screenwriting. You've seen this story play itself out. Well,
We're so back.
Are we got the dog here? Look at this little sweetie. Introduce everybody.
This is Noni. She's a little three-legged Chiweenie. She's really bossy. So yeah, she's gonna sit here for the remainder of the show.
Chiweenie.
Yeah, Cade has stepped up. He's accepted the new role. It's everything you want to see. You know, he is that dude. Oh, and I was gonna say, whenever he was denied accolades like Rookie of the Year, I feel like it was always win total. Everyone pointed to, well, they're not winning games. Look, if LaMelo gets all-star, like, I know, I'm just afraid. I think Cade deserves it, but I'm just afraid that the fan voting, Silver's going to want to take advantage of the commercial potential involved with LaMelo. He sells shoes, he gets eyeballs, he plays flashy, and he puts up hella points. I don't think he deserves it, but I'm just like,
they have 8
I don't know
wins,
if it's that
bro.
just that Detroit Pistons thing, but I'm just always ready to be disappointed by the powers that be. You know?
You've been hurt for too long, man. He might get it, but the only people who are going to get
traumatized
burned are like, it's probably going to get like Hero burned out of there. That's my guess. Okay, I got
my hero.
Not mine. Not mine.
I heard it's pronounced Harrow. I read that online. I said someone comment that. I can't take credit for that, but I thought that was funny.
That is pretty funny. I would also never sell that narrative if my name was Tyler Hero and it was spelled Hero. I'd be like, it's
for
Hero.
sure.
Okay, Mark, you're in the chat. I have to address this. Mark says, what if, and please don't kill me, but what if Cade's hero journey is the normal order / these guys are the mentors, but we're only in phase 1 right now? What if there's still dark to come? Don't do this to us, dude. Don't even put that out there. I'll just toss it away. Mark, I'll make you feel better right here. There is no way it could ever be worse than it was last year.
That's how I feel.
There just isn't a possibility on that. That 28 game losing streak was so damaging for those players mentally that you could see them like giving up on the court. Now you don't see that on life. That picture of Cade. Can I go back to that picture of Cade? Where was that? That was right here. Do you see?
Oh my God!
Do you see that face?
Poor king.
that face is like
despondent.
It's out. The candle is gone out there. That is Dementor eyes. You know, it's been sucked out of him. Second Harry Potter reference today. We're thinking about you, Bryce.
Always.
I guess this could be the Harry Potter journey as well for Cade.
Yes, it applies to all of these things. Although, does Harry Potter ever really change? Whatever. We're not. It's not gonna.
He grows up a little bit.
Mark, point made. We're not saying it's going to be smooth sailing from here. There are absolutely going to be struggles. You know, even with like Isaiah Thomas's rise, there were times when they got so close only to get devastated by injuries or just
fouls on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. Or like, you know, talk about those Pistons and this Pistons, bad turnovers. Those things happen and bad things will continue to happen, but I do agree with Harry. There's no way it gets darker than last season. And like, yeah, we're fudging things around a little bit to make it work, but yeah, I point taken.
That's what Frodo thought when Gandalf fell off with the ball. I don't know if he thought it couldn't get worse, but he was still like kind of early in that journey. He still hadn't accepted his role yet. I think he was still in denial about the whole thing. I think we're past it, and I think like last night's game is proof of that, because like we're saying, they were getting their butts beat all game, and they still came back, and they still almost made it a game at the end. I mean, it was a game at the end. The intensity was up there, and I can tell you this: last season, if this loss had happened, they wouldn't be chipping and chirping the way they were at the end of this game. There wouldn't be a wait till next week. This is
nothing
story.
To say. Yeah. But I will say, Mark, so here for the Lord of the Rings metaphor. You're with it. You're picking up what we're laying down, and that is appreciated.
Oh,
what's
man.
our last beat, Harry?
We got a 7th beat. Oh, actually, we have 2 more beats. My bad.
What's our penultimate beat?
Thank you. The martini beat. If we're in the holiday or in the showbiz thing. the ultimate boon, the Pistons winning record, the mainstream respect. That's where we're at right now. Like this whole combination of thing. Pistons do have a winning record.
And even after that L, we're still above 500. Hopefully things can stay that way. But we're getting interviewed by Malika, Funny Marco. We're getting eyeballs. People are starting to pay attention for the right reasons instead of because we're like a national laughingstock.
Absolutely. And you know what? Last night was the halfway mark of the season, right? So if you were to take that for the whole season, and like we said, the Pistons have been growing all season. So if you were just to say, okay, let's just double it and see how it goes, that's 42 and 40. That's a winning record on the season. 42 wins, 50% more than people's greatest expectation. Not everyone's. Mark, truly, this is the big Mark episode. Mark has receipts. He predicted 42 wins from the Pistons this year, and that Cade would be the most improved player. It's nuts, and I think he said they'd lose in the playoffs.
I hope you put some money on that.
Mark's a maniac. This is truly insane. But the Pistons are here, and if we're remembering correctly, what were the first 4 games of the season for the Pistons? Losses.
Goose eggs.
Losses. So take away those 4 games. That means after that 4-game losing streak, the Pistons have been 21-16 since. That's good. That's really good.
It's really good, especially considering like just the personnel we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not the final form. Like I think the Pacers are pretty much like looking to contend with that lineup. I don't think they want to shuffle the deck all that much. I don't know.
They're a second apron team.
They're gonna,
We're a salary cap
probably
team.
Try to extend Mathurin. So I think it really bodes well for the future. And I remember, last season and before being like, I don't know what move is gonna help us. And now I feel like any move or no move is only going to be helpful.
I think there's been a lot of talk about like what the Pistons are going to do. They're just not going to like accept some dump. I think now it looks like they're looking. It sounds like reports are saying it sounds like they're looking for a player who can actually like contribute. Whatever, I don't care. I'll be excited to see. I saw that there's like the mock trade thing going on Twitter right now, and Bryce had pitched to like Wendell, and you take on Buddy Hield and somebody else. That'd be sick. I'd be cool with that.
It's great return for Wendell.
Mm-hmm. And I like Wendell. I think Wendell's pretty great. I think he's like a pretty admirable player who comes in and plays a pretty important role on this team when they need him to. And so nothing but love for him on this team as well. Mm-hmm. But like, I know I was talking about the idea of getting Jimmy Butler last time I was on here. Then off stream, you were talking to me. He's like, I don't know if the attitude is right. I think you are right. It's not like I wouldn't embrace him if he was on the team or anything, but like, I just love these guys too much. I love how this team is playing together. I don't want to disrupt that.
Yeah. I literally said that because, well, I mean, contract aside, I think it would make the team sad. And I don't want that to happen. So shows you what kind of GM I would be when it's just like purely feelings-based decisions. But
it makes sense. And you pointed out to me also the availability thing, and that has been like one of the biggest things for the Pistons is the availability of all these players. Like guys are playing a lot of games. They're here. They're showing up.
It's key. The only thing I will say is like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done. I was just saying the main injury is Ivy this year, and everybody else is like just a miss here and there.
Of course. Yeah, I don't need a big swing or anything like that. If we just collect assets, that's fine too. I don't hate the idea of just picking up somebody without breaking the bank that could just take some of the pressure off Cade, because he does seem a little taxed.
He does. It seems like a lot has been on him, and like we're saying from this last game, it was a little bit of a struggle. Like when he couldn't get it going, no one else could get it going. So it'd be nice to have like a change of pace attack, and that's why Ivy's dearly missed, and I think he'll probably get the extension this year. But don't bet on it. It's just how I feel. We do.
Well, I know Mark won't bet on it because
he ain't no gambler.
Dude, don't gamble. Which is
homie, don't gamble like that. All right, we got one final one. What is the final step of the hero's journey, of Cade's hero's journey?
The resurrection. Detroit makes the playoffs. I don't know. We had a conversation. Do we put a question mark or do we put an exclamation point? We put a question mark. just in case. But it seems like we're definitely play-in bound at the very least. You and I, we're salivating for a 6 seed or better. But, maybe we're getting a little greedy. Maybe the basket's getting raised too high. We're doing some lethal shooter stuff with like chainsaws around the rim. Do we understand it now? Who's to say? But either way, I think going into next season, Detroit basketball is back, baby.
Ooh, so back. It's so back. And like, one final thing I want to put on like this whole playoffs idea. Playoff basketball for the Pistons has essentially already started. That's where we're at right now. It's not like we're playing series against these teams, but every game has so much more at stake than it has in so long. Like so long. We're right in the mix of it right now. The other teams are like trying to figure out what to do. The Pistons know what they have to do, and what they have to do is win, and they have to find ways to continue winning and to continue growing. And they have a guy in Cade Cunningham, their hero, who can lead them to that victory. That's where we stand on the Cade Cunningham hero's journey.
It's a good place to be. I think that's better than what Adam Silver and DraftKings and BetMGM were cooking. But,
was Adam Silver feeding ChatGPT for the script, by the way? Is he using AI to write the scripts?
It feels like it's just recycled, same sort of stuff we've seen.
He's just nibbling a hot and ready crust. So mad. He's just like, ChatGPT, get in there. Because that's what he eats. He eats just the crust, as we know.
How do we get more viewers?
Wiping the Parmesan cheese off on his suit.
Yeah. No pepper flakes. He would never. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for everyone in the chat for paying attention. Subscribe. A couple more shout outs.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, I want to give a shout out to our Reddit fan, Akron IBM. Thank you so much for defending the order, for getting the podcast, for knowing that it's comedy, for knowing that we're just trying to have fun here.
We're taking swings out here. We're having fun. We're trying stuff. It's silly. It's light. As you said, we're just doing a podcast because we saw a prophecy of a flaming horse who told us to. So
I thought I was crazy. I thought I was still on.
Me too.
I thought I was still on that snap. What the snap is, you can decide for yourself. But you're probably right. And it turns out, no, we have physical proof that he exists in a script from Adam Silver. We have record proof that he's in with a Pistons winning record the season we started doing this. When Hooper says that's what's going to happen if you start doing this. So yeah. Like us, follow us, subscribe.
And we might be crazy. We still might be crazy, but I think it's justified. We're having fun. We're going to keep writing little recaps. We're going to keep making fun content, playing games. Got some fun stuff we're cooking with some other collaborators.
That's true.
Like really enjoying like connecting with other people in the space. It's been great.
The end of the month we have a pretty big special podcast that very psyched to have on. So watch out for that. It's involving people involving people you love. And next week we're gonna have another great one because we're gonna come back here with some significant wins and with some more to talk about and some more games, bro. We got the games, my friend. Like it's
certainly
a good time out here. Also, let us know how you did last week on the who you talk about Reddit. I still feel very insecure about all that.
It's a hard game.
It really is, man. I still can't get over going 3 of 9, shooting worse than Ron shoots from perimeter. By the way, before we get out of here, did you see the stat that since November, I think Ron Holland's shooting better from 3 by, I think, like 15% than Dalton Connect is?
I didn't see that, but it seems like Dalton Connect's like pretty unplayable lately.
What he does is shoot, and if you're not shooting well, rough stuff. Meanwhile, Ron's doing some good stuff. So keep it going.
I'm still high on Ron's potential. Like to the question earlier, like I think he's going to get in foul trouble. I'd rather him play aggressive and learn by doing than, be coy and reserved. Like that's who he is.
Yeah.
And like, look, if Ron fouls out, Ron falls out. Like, we got Asar. Sasser was playing good pesky defense. I forget if we brought it up or not, but I really liked Sasser next to Cade.
I love it. We didn't talk about it. It's a good fit because ball handling can get like tossed off. Sasser can catch and shoot. He can create some shots. He does score. Like the bro scores. Beautiful fucking stroke on him.
Yeah.
6 step back. Incredible step back.
And like Ron, like he's willing to shoot. Like he's very aggressive. I mean, he's a way better shooter than Ron, but he's also just like, he wants that moment. You know, you really feel that like Houston NCAA thing with him. He's hit a buzzer beater, a buzzer beater in his day.
He's a stud. But this will be the last thing I say. I forgot about this hilarious moment at the game yesterday. Tyrese Haliburton gets fouled and he goes to the free throw line. The guy next to me yells, "You're not Killian Hayes!" Like it's an insult. And I was like, I think that's a compliment, man.
I love that heckle, though. I love that.
Very
I hope
funny.
He's just like thinking about that for days.
It'd be such a weird thing to be thinking about.
Stewing about it.
Man, I can't wait to see the next matchup between those two. Like, I want like whoever's covering it, ESPN or like NBC, whatever the game is on. I guess FanDuel Sports Network. I want them to have the like Mortal Kombat, Cade Cunningham head to head with Tyrese Haliburton matchup, just looking gravy. I'm really looking forward to that game. I'm really looking forward to the games for the rest of this week, and especially on Saturday. If you are thinking about going to the game on Saturday, go, because that Duran bobblehead looks sick. It's a very cool looking one. Get you some scritch.
Yeah, dog pound bobblehead with the rim.
So nice with his yell. They really captured his face on that. Speaking of bobbleheads, I see one behind you, bro. Killian's hero turning next. Mark, no. Oh my God, so cute. All right, well,
so good. Thank you for that.
Oh, dude, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I'm happy you got. I'm happy to add to your collect. So with that, again, like, subscribe, give us a rating, give us some reviews. If you give us a review on our podcast, we'll read it. You know, we'll read it. We'll give you some love.
Check us out on Substack. We're gonna keep cranking out. Content. So please.
Fun stuff. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. We'll see you next week on another lovely episode of Order of the Blazing Horse. Say bye to me, bye to Mickey. Bye. Can you get your dog to do the noise too?
We're going to try.
All right.
We're going to try.
As we do every episode.